From Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut, this is The Pulse.
Hello, my name is William Callahan.
And I'm Sabrina Garone. Thank you for joining us. After the recent school shooting in Parkland, Florida, students across the country have been inspired to take a stand against gun violence. To commemorate the lives lost on that tragic day, Sacred Heart students participated in the National School Walkout. Here's Brendan Capuano with more.
On Wednesday, March 14th at 10 a.m., Sacred Heart students, faculty, and staff got up and left their classrooms and offices to gather at the Chapel of the Holy Spirit to take part in the National School Walkout.
We're just going to move it outside to the quad over here, so if everyone just wants to file out.
1 month ago, on February 14th, 17 students and staff lost their lives at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, to a gunman. The walkout lasted from 10 a.m. to 10:17, 1 minute for every life lost. Professor Brian Stillner and student leaders from the newly formed Choose Students Against Gun Violence group spoke and encouraged political change and an end to gun violence.
Of this being about politics, this is about the value of human lives. I hope you all can come and join us in Hartford, New York City, and even DC itself to keep the same passion going that people at Huffman High School, Parkland High School, Sandy Hook Elementary School, and even Virginia Tech University, that they are not alone and we stand with them.
On Tuesday, March 13th in Washington, 7,000 pairs of empty shoes were placed on the White House lawn to represent every child killed by gun violence since Sandy Hook. Parkland caused a nationwide call to action on gun control, not led by politicians, but high school students. Students from Norwich Free Academy in Connecticut took to their campus walkways to show support for those students who lost their lives in Parkland. But they were just one school. Thousands of students across the nation walked out of class and work to stand in solidarity and say enough is enough. For The Pulse, Brendan Capuano, Fairfield, Connecticut.
As politicians struggle to find a common solution to gun violence, activists around the country are taking it upon themselves to make a change. Dr. Rose, a professor of political science and global studies at Sacred Heart, is here to share his thoughts with us. Let's send it over to Phil Zeller, who's with Dr. Rose now.
Parkland was a turning point in this gun control debate. Why?
Well, first of all, at this point in time, it appears to be the turning point. Let's hope that the millennials that really are taking action over this, that this is a sustained effort on their part to really, affect legislation at both the state and federal level. And now I've seen, movements before emerge and then they kind of die on the vine. This one does look like it certainly has some longevity. Now, to your question, why is it this time that that we have so many young people truly, taking action on behalf of gun control? And I think that this probably just allowed, I would say, sort of this anger that people have had about a range of issues to be somewhat, more effectively mobilized, and it kind of was like the catalyst, if you will, that really set in motion something that I think was probably below the surface anyway, just waiting for some type of issue that young persons could grab onto to, if you will, challenge perhaps the policies of this president and maybe the Republican-controlled Congress.
Is it really? Do we really need to own an assault rifle in this day and age in this country?
Well, the term assault rifle is pretty broad, if you will, and I think we have to be careful about when we talk about banning assault rifles. Now, I would agree with you wholeheartedly that the AR-15 is, if you will, a quasi-military type weapon, quasi. And it is, quite frankly, manufactured to do harm to people. But on the other hand, I'm also going to say let's be very careful when we say we want to ban assault rifles, because really any semi-automatic rifle, whether even if it's a .22 rifle with a clip in it, which is a repeater, and self-loading, can be classified as an assault rifle. And so I'm very I'm pretty hesitant to say that we need to ban all assault rifles. I think that certain types of guns need to be taken off the market, certain types of weapons. But I'm a little bit cautious on the broad term of assault rifle. Yes, there has to be some reasonable gun control, and we have to do more to make our schools safer. Obviously we have to do that. But we have to be very careful about laws that are so broad and that cast a net so widely that they bring in a lot of law-abiding people who are very responsible gun owners. I can understand that, and it is true that the last thing you need are these AR-15s on the market when in fact you've got mentally ill people going around who are intent on doing harm on people. But I think you raise a really good question here, Phil. What is the independent variable here? Is it really the rifle itself, or is it mental illness? Now, you know the answer to that. It's mental illness. The question is, what are we doing about the AR-15? And I think simultaneously we have to do something about detecting people who have mental illness and who are intent on doing harm on people. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who's, just suffering from a problem. That's not who we really pounce on. But there has to be some type of indication that this person wants to, carry out some type of act, and then I think we need to have early intervention. I know it sounds very, pie in the sky stuff, but let's face it, if we don't do more on the mental illness side, then I don't think we're going to really be accomplishing much in terms of protecting the safety of people, because that to me is the real independent variable.
Is the NRA really being put on the defense position right now? Is this the first time in gun control history?
No, it's not the first. I think it's the first time that young voters and people in your age group are seriously questioning the role of the NRA. Sure, the NRA is on a big defensive right now. But it's not the first time. It seems a little more, intense this time. But on the other hand, Phil, again, I always question, whenever I see these movements emerge, I always question about the longevity of them. People start to get sidetracked. I've seen movements die on the vine before. And so I don't know if, to be honest with you, the NRA is a very well-funded special interest group. It has very close connections to Congress. I wonder really just how much all of this that's happening out there right now is going to diminish their role.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rose. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Phil.
Sabrina, just yesterday there was an example of a teacher accidentally discharging a firearm in Northern California while teaching a public safety course.
Oh, well, fortunately no one was hurt. When we return, how the Fairfield community celebrated St. Patrick's Day.
Plus, a closer look at the latest trend in tech, smart speakers.
Welcome back to The Pulse. This month we celebrated St. Patrick's Day with parties and parades. But who really was St. Patrick, and how has the holiday become what it is today? I spoke with some local experts to find out more. St. Patrick's Day has been celebrated in the United States since the mid-18th century. For Americans, the holiday is not only a celebration of the patron saint of Ireland, but also a celebration of Irish American culture. But who was St. Patrick, and how has the holiday become what it is today?
St. Patrick makes sure there's no more snakes in Ireland. He brought Christianity to Ireland, which would be their salvation.
Born in Britain during the medieval period, St. Patrick was enslaved by Irish pirates as a young boy. Upon escaping and returning to Britain, he began studying Christianity and felt called to return to Ireland to preach the gospel there.
Going back and missionizing the very people who made him a slave gave to the Irish people after that a sense of a worthy hero and leader. The shamrock. How do I teach an ignorant group of people why the Trinity is so important? The symbol of the Trinity is part of who you are. Look down on the ground. What are those shamrocks that you look at? This is nothing new. It's always been with you. Open your eyes and see what's always been there.
The Gaelic American Club in Fairfield was founded by Irish immigrants in 1948. The club's mission is to promote Irish tradition and educate future generations as displayed at their annual cultural night.
It's a great culture. We have probably the center of it is faith and family, followed closely by the music. Really, the music is central to it. Our children are learning violin and tin whistle, these kind of core Irish instruments, and it's great to learn it in school, but to play that at a family gathering or even after dinner on Thanksgiving, it really brings the family together, and it's very important to us.
Statistics tell us that something like 38 million Americans identify as Irish American, in that perhaps they're at least half Irish American. The Irish have really thrived in American history now in terms of being involved in almost everything.
Despite their success in the New World, history has not always been kind to the Irish. St. Patrick was one of their heroes against adversity.
Irish identity in a place like New York, where any Irish don't have open arm welcomes, right? A lot of times you see the signs, Irish need not apply. The Irish ghettos in New York certainly were looking for places where once a year, 17th March, they could celebrate a true hero who identified themselves in Ireland as something great.
For The Pulse, Sabrina Garone, Fairfield, Connecticut.
Delta Tau Delta's annual White Ribbon campaign raises awareness against domestic violence and sexual assault. I stopped by the event to learn more. I'm here at the University Commons here at Sacred Heart University at Delta Tau Delta's annual White Ribbon campaign, which advocates awareness against sexual abuse and domestic violence against women. Let's go take a look inside. February 23rd marked Delt's 5th year in a row they have run the White Ribbon campaign, with its message remaining the same.
It is our duty, not as Delta Tau Delta, not as policemen or firefighters, not as faculty or students, not as counselors, not as politicians, but as human beings, to create a more just society for the common good. No effort is too small in this fight to restructure our desensitized culture. We live in a world today where sincerity and kindness are regarded as invaluable, and altering this notion is a good place to start for the security of the survivors out there.
Among some of the notable speakers at the event included President John Petillo and Fairfield Police Chief Gary McNamara, who unveiled a new campaign entitled Men Care Too.
As we gather to share the impact that men can have on the White Ribbon campaign, and ultimately it's a white ribbon, but really it's what we believe. And you should all believe that violence against women and girls should not be tolerated, and we have to take action to stop it. But today, how do we get that message across as men?
I am truly inspired by our students. They have shown their passion, their caring, and their dedication to a cause that, in light of what's happening in society now, is truly at the forefront, and they are really, really working on this. I think these are types of movements that will continue to grow and hopefully have an impact on how people do treat each other and how people understand the critical issues that affect many people.
It's so rewarding to see the whole school kind of come together and get behind this cause that we stand up for and we so strongly believe in. As you know, this is my second year as a brother of Delta Tau Delta, and just the growth from last year to this year has been so amazing, and I think it's going to continue to go in that direction, and it really means a lot.
How much do you think this event and what it promotes means to the community?
I mean, you can't say it enough. Everyone that came and spoke today talked about how much this event meant to our local community, and I think as we keep having this event, it's not only going to stay within the local community, I think it's going to continue to grow, and hopefully one day it'll be nationwide.
As you can see, all the members of the Sacred Heart community are committed to the pledge that these hands will never harm. I'm William Callahan, reporting from The Pulse, Fairfield, Connecticut.
Smart speakers are the must-have technology of this year. With many tech companies releasing their own brand of speakers, there are a variety of options for customers to choose from. Which speakers do they like the best? Here's Michael Latito and PJ Sioka with more.
Today's society features all new designs and technology. Devices such as smart outlets, lighting, and even smart speakers allow for individuals to gain knowledge on specific subjects by using their own voice.
Hey Google, what's the weather in Bridgeport today?
In Bridgeport today, it'll be clear with clouds from time to time, with a forecasted high of 52 and a low of 36. Currently 51 and sunny.
We interviewed 3 individuals and asked their thoughts on specific smart speakers.
So a lot of my friends got smart assistants for Christmas, and I thought that they were really cool. So I decided to go to Best Buy and get one. I basically wanted one because you can just be in your home, you can have it in your bedroom, you can ask it to check the weather or quick things online that you don't want to look up on your phone. So I just thought it would be really convenient to have in my own house. So when I was looking for an affordable smart assistant, and so I was between the Alexa and the Google Home. And when I talked to the worker at Best Buy, he told me that I could either pick between a Google search engine or the Bing search engine. So I decided to use Google because I think it's more reliable than Bing, and I'm more used to using it.
I know the Apple HomePod just came out recently, so and Apple's kind of, has been the pioneer in like the newer technology lately. So it's kind of interesting to see them come out, with the last model of something like this. But they have had Siri on the phone for forever, so I guess they kind of were the pioneers in this kind of genre of technology. But the thing that I found really interesting about the Amazon Alexa is that she listens, and then she'll be able to kind of mark down what everybody's asking her. So if she doesn't know an answer one time and somebody asks a question she doesn't know, she'll be provided the answer, and then for every time in the future, every single one of the Amazon Echoes will be able to answer that question for somebody in the future. So I have her control my light in my room, so if I want my light to go on, she could do that. Alexa, if I want it to be shut off, she can do that as well. So it just makes it easier. So what I think it's kind of creepy but also kind of awesome at the same time is that she's always learning something new, like every day. So it just, the intelligence of this product is just increasing every day, and I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I've seen a lot of people use them lately. A broad range of demographics too, from people our age to moms. Kids our age are using them to play music, while moms in households are using them to order groceries, and they add a lot of convenience to people's lives, and I think that aspect of it is really cool. And constantly when you're talking to these devices, everything that they're recording is just collecting more and more data on you. And a lot of people think that that's to make your life easier. Like, you can just tell it, okay, order this, and it knows what you want to buy. But I personally think that as consumers, we're losing more and more of our privacy that companies and the government are going to be able to infringe on that wasn't necessarily intended to happen by the founding fathers of this country.
Reporting from The Pulse, this has been Michael Latito and PJ Sioka, Fairfield, Connecticut.
You know, I've used the Amazon Alexa, and it's a really helpful tool.
Oh, I'm jealous, but I'll definitely look into buying one now.
When we return, a look back at the Winter Olympics.
Plus, how the Sacred Heart community came together to help the hungry. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Pulse. The Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea concluded last month. How engaged were students with this year's games? Here is Ryan Cosner with more.
With the Winter Olympics finished, I wanted to take a moment to look back and reflect on the games of 2018 and try to uncover why they felt so underwhelming in comparison to previous Olympics. The critics were out, calling this year's games weak for its lower primetime viewing numbers, down 6% compared to its 2014 Sochi predecessor. But it was the newest ways of viewing the events that posted the most eye-opening numbers this year. The greatest increase in viewership was within NBC's online streaming. According to the Los Angeles Times, within the first 6 days of the games, there were about 7,500 hours streamed, more than the entire games in Sochi combined. NBC as a company has noted that the younger audiences are viewing their media in different ways today. Spokesman for the Peacock said that 76% of the game's streaming viewers were between the ages 18 and 49, this number being only at 61% for the Summer Games in Rio. The network knows that the younger audience is greatly important for its ratings. They made it a goal this year to capture this generation. After reading about these numbers, it got me thinking about what some people my age thought about the games this year, and if and how they watched them. So I went around Sacred Heart's campus to ask some students about their Olympic experience this year.
So yes, I did watch the Olympics. I used my Amazon Fire Stick and streamed them off the Fire Stick. I also used the cable TV. I also used the app when I was in class.
So I watched the Winter Olympics in Pyongyang this year. I wasn't in Pyongyang, unfortunately, but I watched it on NBC and on my phone. Pretty good event. I watched most of it. The thing I didn't watch the most was figure skating, but watched a lot of snowboarding.
I watched them both on TV and I streamed it on my laptop. I enjoyed them. More of a Summer Olympics guy, but the Winter Olympics were pretty fun with curling and Shaun White making his comeback.
I didn't watch the Olympics. I wasn't really into it this year.
So even if we had the different ways of streaming and everything, it just didn't catch your attention very well?
No, not anyway.
Although people still stuck to watching the games on TV, it is noticeable that streaming was definitely a popular option too. And I'm curious to see how NBC innovates their viewing experience for the Summer Games coming up. For The Pulse, this has been Ryan Cosner, Fairfield, Connecticut.
While athletes were taking part in the games in Pyeongchang, Sacred Heart siblings took part in some friendly competition of their own. Here's Amanda Nardiella with more on Siblings Weekend.
Hello. Here at SHU, Siblings Weekend is going on right inside the UC. A lot of students and their siblings are having fun. Let's go check it out.
At Sacred Heart University, the Student Events Team, otherwise known as SET, held their annual Siblings Weekend in the University Commons. Students and their siblings gathered to enjoy an eventful weekend together filled with activities for all ages. SET organized many activities for the weekend. Events such as Big Red's Carnival, bingo, trivia contests, and a comedy magic show.
Siblings Weekend's really great because you get to bring your sibling to campus, show them what you love about Sacred Heart, take them to some of your favorite places on campus, and kind of just like tour off what you love about your school.
At Big Red's Carnival, they had many carnival games, such as Roller Bowler, Big Jenga, Crazy Hat, Tip-a-Troll, Horseshoes, and many more. Big Red's Carnival also had an airbrush tattoo table. Set hopes that the weekend's festivities will inspire these young students to become a part of the Shoe family.
Hopefully some of these future siblings will become future pioneers as they tour our campus over the weekend, and also just helps bring our community together where people can show off why they love being a pioneer.
Big Red's Carnival also had some food for students and their siblings to snack on, including snow cones and cotton candy.
And who'd you bring with you today?
This is my baby sister Martine. Hi.
How do you like it so far at SHU?
It's a beautiful campus. I really enjoy coming up to visit her. Yeah, I really like it.
How do you guys like Siblings Weekend so far?
It's great. We're having a ball.
What's your favorite part about it?
I get to hang out with my sister because I don't get to see her much, so it's nice to hang out with her.
Thanks to the hard work of SET, students were able to bond with their siblings and create memories to share.
From the UC, here at Siblings Weekend, I'm Amanda Nardiello, and this is The Pulse.
Hunger is an issue that affects 41 million people across the United States. In collaboration with Meals of Hope, student government hosted their first ever Hunger Project, a food packing event to help the hungry in the Bridgeport area. With more on this story, here is Kelsey Orr.
On March 15th, over 500 students and faculty volunteers participated in the Hunger Project, student government's first ever food packing event. In collaboration with the nonprofit organization Meals of Hope, the goal was to provide 25,000 meals to the hungry in the Bridgeport area. Student government president Tara McCormick has been dreaming of putting on an event like this for a long time.
So the Hunger Project idea was something that I've been very passionate about for a long time. My dad had actually done a food packaging event similar to this, and since high school I've worked a lot with soup kitchens and different things like that, and I came here and did a lot of work with local food pantries, soup kitchens, and I thought it'd be an awesome way for Sacred Heart to get involved as a whole community, not just a certain organization, and give back to our local community.
Food was packaged in an assembly line style, with students taking 30-minute shifts.
So the food will go to local food pantries, local places in need within our Bridgeport community. So none of it will leave Fairfield County or Bridgeport. And a lot of us are kind of talking about where we would like to send it, where is it going, where can Meals of Hope bring it. And the organization that's with us today, Meals of Hope, will help us basically bring it all to these food pantries, the local places that are in need.
Bridgeport is one of Connecticut's most impoverished areas, with 26% of its residents relying on food stamps.
I think that's the most important part, is that we're providing these meals for, families, children, husbands and wives that really, have fallen on hard times. I think that we can all learn from this because it's not too far off for us to become one of them. So just to be a part of this, to provide over 50,000 meals is amazing.
Because of the outpouring support from the Sacred Heart community, the event's goal was met twice over, with 50,000 meals donated.
I think today this is the true demonstration of what it means to be a pioneer. I think it's a true demonstration of what it means to come together as a community, to look around and see so many different athletics teams, so many different sororities, fraternities, and clubs and organizations here representing themselves, but also Sacred Heart University as a community as a whole coming together to lend a hand to do this is absolutely incredible.
As a senior, I'm hoping that this lives on far beyond my years here. It's kind of almost like a legacy to leave behind for all the underclassmen to kind of take on and go from there. I think that this will be a project that for future years to come, a lot of students are going to want to get behind. Only because, it's only a few hours, but we're impacting over 50,000 families in a course of 5 hours, and I don't think you can beat that.
Reporting for The Pulse, this is Kelsey Orr, Fairfield, Connecticut.
It's great to see the student leaders on our campus spearhead such an important cause.
And after all, community service is part of the mission here at the university.
That's all the time we have for today. I'm William Callahan.
And I'm Sabrina Garone. We'll see you next time on The Pulse.